where the entire community gets involved. And therefore you'll find that the government today is looking at community-led total sanitation. I repeat, community-led total sanitation as an approach that the states have to use. Because if the communities are not going to be sort of involved or they are not going to drive, then government forcing anything is not going to basically work. What does our committee do? Our committee looks at technologies and looks at 5 factors that are very important. The first is that, but let me come back. So I think basically what I was saying was that in terms of resources, we require financial, which I talked about. We require legal, that I talked about. We require technological, and finally institutional delivery systems. These are 4 very critical. So out of all these 4, the technological part is the one that the committee under my chairmanship looks at. We are not looking at the others, although they sort of influence. So we are somewhat limited in terms of our scope. And within technology, what we actually look at are 5 criteria for technology. The first, it must be scalable, okay? Because we are talking about 11 crore toilets, this large number. Secondly, it must be sustainable. Anything that you build but is not finally is used as a godown or something is not going to work. It should be used for the purpose for which it is built, and it will become sustainable, like what we said, availability of water, the maintenance, I mean the whole range of other things that go around with it. Otherwise it will remain a physical structure. So second point is sustainable. Third is affordable. And those of you who saw me actually walking across the exhibition saw very quickly, I was asking in each case, what is the cost? And as soon as one gave a large number, I quickly moved away. And I was focusing on something, Rajiv, which was around 10,000, right? Preferably less. Now, that affordability part is going to be very important, because I was just talking to somebody in the government and they were saying, oh, everything is coming around 16, 17,000, or 10,000 hona chahiye, around that, you know. And of course, government gives subsidy and the rest of it, I mean, I don't want to go into the formula. But I think that is where partnerships will be needed. The corporate social responsibility funds augmenting, let us say, the rest, and working together can make that affordable, because there are a number of ways of approaching affordability. And one of the innovative ways of approaching affordability is what you said. You know, like for example, we talk about sharing economy. What is sharing economy? You simply say that I'm not going to own a car, but I'm going to have access to a car, right? That is where Uber has come, isn't it? It has transformed the entire business model. Okay, I sit on Tata Motors board and we are very worried. If everybody says, I'm not going to buy a car, but get access to car, then what's going to happen to us? Same as many other sort of car company. But then there are new models that will develop. I think the main thing that I'm trying to talk about is that such sharing economy concept has to come in Paris too. That is where, of course, the community comes in. But that is where the kind of model that you talk about that come in, where you don't own a toilet. I'm not talking about the private houses, but in community. But you have an access to it. And I think that affordability can come in by moving from capex to opex in a way, in a sense, as a matter of fact, as a business model. And there again, the importance of using technology, the information technology that you basically talk about. Because the moment you bring in human interventions, they are liable to be, use, misuse, overuse, no use, and the rest of it. How do you take human element out of it? That's what we are doing, in Digital India, for example, in the governance. What are we trying to do? We are trying to get away from all the transaction costs that are basically required. I mean, the other day, I'm chairing this technology, the awards committee for Technology Awards of the Year for Indian Banking Association. It's very interesting. 2 years ago, after listening to them in a panel discussion, I said, you are talking about future banking, but is there a future for banking? And you can see that. Your mobile, my mobile. That's it. The transaction is done there. So all the operational costs, transactional costs are gone. Otherwise, I would write a check, it will go, 3 clerks will check it, and your amount, you will have the deposit after 3 days. I said, that's all gone. It's instant. Like instant messaging, instant decision making, and so on and so forth. So bringing in IT in everything, including sanitation and toilet, is going to be extraordinarily important. And that will lead to not only effectiveness, increase of effectiveness, but increase of efficiency, both. All right. So I would say that don't look at sanitation as a low technology. All right. It can be made into a high technology by combining, on one hand, information technology, on the other hand, biotechnology. Because we are, as you know, DRDO's famous technology, etc., they are being used, as a matter of fact, for the purpose of dealing with the waste. Waste can be also a sort of resource. And how do we put those inputs? So I think we have to change our attitude towards looking at sanitation as something which is kind of a, in the appendix, in the annexure. How do we make high technology touch it to raise it to a different level? So I think that is that affordability part. The other part is rapidly deployable, because our timelines are very tight. 2nd October 2019, it's just around the corner. And the numbers that we are talking about are crores. And therefore rapid deployability becomes important. And finally, social acceptability. And that is where social innovation is going to come, that model transformation. There are very interesting stories about how these social innovations become important by the way. There's an individual, she's a Magsaysay Award winner. She told me a story. While I was attending the Gandhi Research Foundation meeting in Jalgaon. She was apparently in a village, and she found that the women there, they have the toilets, but they don't use them. So she got a social scientist involved to see as to why don't they use them. And what they found was that doing the thing in the morning was a social event, because they would talk to each other. They will do it collectively, and they will talk to each other early mornings. And that is where they will share, things about their mother-in-law, the child which is not behaving, husband that is misbehaving, and so on. So their social interaction they were missing. All right? When they were getting closeted. So what she did was that she redesigned. This was social innovation. She redesigned the toilets in such a way that everything about this was open. Okay? So that they could communicate with each other. It was done in a certain way. And the use, which was 0%, became 100%. So when I say social acceptability, this is the social innovation that one is talking about. I'm not saying that should be done all over India, but what I'm saying, I'm giving an example that there is an Indian way of thinking, Indian way of doing things, basically. And if we miss that out, then the social acceptability will be missed out. And therefore, toilet as a joyful experience, something that Rajiv has been talking about, something that many of us have been talking about, and there are new models by which it can be made into a joyful experience. I'm talking about the rural setting, but even the urban or semi-urban setting. That is why it is a total innovation. When we say community-led total innovation, that just does not mean technological innovation. It means social innovation and other sorts of innovations, and how do we bring them together? I think that is going to be the crux of the matter. So these are the 5 criteria that we are using. Just to repeat: scalability, sustainability, affordability, rapid deployability, and social acceptability. We are also looking at innovations which are game-changing, by the way. For example, when you say less water, it is an incremental innovation. But when you say waterless, it's a disruptive innovation. Don't use water at all. After all, we do have toilets where we don't use water. What do you do in aircrafts? You do that, but then it doesn't become affordable, isn't it? So affordably, how can we move towards such technologies? I think that is critical. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has these grand challenges, by the way. I have been a jury on that for last 5 or 6 years. And one of the innovation that came for funding, by the way, which I have tick mark for going forward, is creating surfaces, by using certain hydrofluorocarbons as a coating, by which the contact angle will be such that nothing will stick to it. Zero. All right? So you can quite clearly see, if you start building these things with such surfaces where nothing sticks, you can see the amount of water, it will be close to zero that you will use. The only thing will be cost again. So therefore, everywhere, what happens is that the affordability and excellence in terms of technology has to go together. Now, normally when you say affordable excellence, it's a contradiction in terms. Because we say what is affordable can't be excellent, what is excellent can't be affordable. Sorry, we have to actually create that magic, and we do that, isn't it? I mean, for example, Arvind Eye Care, it does a cataract surgery not for $3,000, for $30, 100 times lower. But the quality of what they do is better than Royal College of Ophthalmic Surgeons. And they do 300,000 such sort of operations, so on surgeries, on a scale. So we have created in India the kind of business models by which this can sort of happen. The reason I'm saying all this is that, although it's an issue of sanitation, although it's an issue of toilet, how do you do not only technological innovations, business model innovations, system delivery innovations, workflow innovations, policy innovations, social innovations, and combination of all this, I think, is what is going to matter. That's the broad perspective I'm trying to do. The other thing that we do, of course, is although our committee does recommend technologies, we don't want to drive it by the center, by the way. Finally, the states will have to implement it. So what we do is that every 3 months, we have an exhibition